Continuing on the custom card review, we're going to be talking about a Tanjiro card. It's coming in from Kyle. But before I go ahead and read Kyle's custom cards, send me custom cards or Easy A concepts to bhfcustomcards@gmail.com to get to your custom card or Easy A concept as soon as possible. While I'm getting all these recent custom cards slash Easy A concepts out of the way. So Kyle says, "Hi Deb, here's a rework of an old Dokkan Fest exclusive, a friend of mine made based on Tanjiro's." Or it's Tanjiro, right? I think so. You say that Tanjiro. Tanjiro fight with Rui. I think so. You also say that. I don't watch Demon Slayer, and actually, I think I've seen like half the first episode of Demon Slayer. And you know what's crazy? I've seen a very small portion of the movie. Well, isn't there a couple movies? Okay, I don't remember. I watched a very small sample size of Demon Slayer, so that just goes to show that I don't really watch too many animes nowadays. So yeah, I think as we say, Rui Tanjiro's fight with Rui. Hope you like it. So let's see what we got here. Kyle, thank you for sending your custom card. It says here's a rework of old Dokkan Fest with a friend of mine made based. Okay, so shout out to your friend, right? That's your friend made. The old Dokkan Fest friend made for you, and shout out to you, Kyle. Yeah. Okay, so what do we have here? Fighting against. Okay, it looks good on the other screen. Wow, just barely looks good on the screen. Let me see. Okay, it looks just barely good on the screen. Okay. Hey, we'll take it. All right. Excuse me, guys. Okay, I'm not yawning for the card, by the way. I just recently got home. So, fighting against the clock to save his sister, Tanjiro. So Tanjiro. I see. He keeps saying Tanjiro. Oh my God. Tanjiro Kamado. Is he say that Kamado? Guys, I've only seen a very small amount of the anime, so please do not crucify me down below. And he's LR. He's super int. And his leader skill is Miraculous Awakening, Battle of the Wits, or All Out Struggle, 4 key and 170% across the board. And the 30% of the stats is 2 Full Power, Accelerated Battle, Siblings Bond, or Battle of Fate. Wow, so 4 30% to stats categories. Wow. And then allies who belong to both leader skills are only counted once and towards the stronger leader skill. Okay, so, alright. Wait, no. No. Wait. Okay. I confused that. It's a good thing I noticed this. Okay. So, this is me coming home from work tired. So, the leader skill, let me just go ahead and reread this. It's Miraculous Awakening, Battle of Wits, All Out Struggle, 4 key, and 170% across the board. Any additional 30% of stats is 2 Full Power or Accelerated Battle. Okay, so that's one part of the 200% leader skill. And the other part of the leader skill is for Siblings Bond and Battle of Fate 3 key, 170% across the board. And then, of course, allies who's on both leader skills are only counted once and towards a stronger leader skill. Okay, so one part of the leader skill, well, one part is a dual 170% just only leader skill. And then the other part of this card's leader skill is a 4 key 170% stats slash 200% leader skill. Okay, cool. So one's a 200% leader skills and one is just a flat 170%. Okay, creative. I like it. And the leader skill, let's go and see what we got here. So we got just Broly movie Gohan, we have Jiren, we have Tech UI, we have Beast Han, we have the Gammas in specific situations. Who else do we have here? Broly in specific situations. I mean, you hell no, you know, you know, you know, and you know. No. I mean, short fights, yes, but granted the fight, yes and no. You need an easy A. Who else do we have here? We have both the 6 years. Absolutely, yes. This leader skill is stacked. You do have Roshi on here. And you could get some Turtle School category allies on this team to get him working. Are there any other strong Dokkan Fest I'm skipping over? God Goku, I mean, he does take a bit to stack up his defense in today's meta, but still, even if then it is fight dependent, so you could get some use out of him. So are there any super easy A's? Kid Buu. I mean, Kid Buu is just everywhere. Now granted, could he take a bit of damage? He could. We do have Frieza over here. So, 200% leader skill is looking pretty alright. The LRs are definitely carrying Tanjiro's 200% leader skill. And the categories that he's on, now I'm going to keep it a beam with you guys. We're going to skip over this. I am far too tired today, and this is going to be just on the days that I have some of these tired days at work. I'm skipping over this. Kyle and Kyle's friend, I hope you guys understand. I'm just gonna leave it up on screen for a second, you guys to read. Okay, and his links are Prepare for Battle, Prodigies goes into Over on the Flash, and Infighter goes into Shattering the Limit, and shocking speed, as well as fierce battle, cold judgment, and legendary power. So isn't shattering the limit, isn't that only like limited to story event awakening slash like free to play characters? Or am I crazy? Okay, I don't know. It doesn't really matter. It's a custom card. And then the stats are shown almost just a tad bit under 18,000 attack, as well as having a moderately good defensive stat, 13,000 defense, just plus, and then just a shade below, a bit of a more of a shade below, but still, stats looking all right. Seems about the balance for the stats that we've seen for a while. Like this balance of stats, we haven't seen this in a little while for these custom cards. So I'm looking good so far. So leader skills looking pretty solid, I would say so. On a ton of categories, and link set looks good, of course. Prepare for battle, over in a flash, shocking speed, fierce battle, cold judgment. So we're looking good across the board. Infighter, not really the greatest link. Shattering limit, I don't remember exactly what it gives, but I'm pretty sure that it does give defense and key. If I remember correctly. So passive, led by the massacre of his family. Wow, what a dark way to start his passive. 6 key and 200% attack and defense at the start of turn, and 30% damage reduction, and receives an additional 40% damage reduction until an attack, including super attack, is received in the same turn. So this card is starting out with basically 70% damage reduction before he attacks, and after he attacks, he gets 30% damage reduction just baseline. Performs an additional super attack up to 2 after dodging an attack, of course, including super attacks. So this card can do up to 2+ supers from just dodging two normals or just 2 supers in specific fashion, as well as 150% attack and defense when performing a super attack, and redirects attacks aimed at allies to self as the 3rd attacker in a turn. That's very powerful. That's probably the strongest thing about this card so far, is that the attack aggro mechanic is just built into his kit if he's sitting inside slot 3. That's very strong. And when a directed or redirected attack, including super attack, is received, guaranteed dodge and temporarily raise attack by 50% every time an attack is dodged before countering with tremendous power. And if the attack was aimed at the character named Nezuko Kamato, I think so you say the last name, I'm probably saying it wrong, so please do not butcher me down below. Temporarily raise attack by an additional 100% before countering with ferocious powder. So you just want that Nezuko, who's the banner unit that I'm not going to read for today's video, of course, but we're going to save that for the live stream. There's going to be a live stream. It's going to be next week. Well, this week. Today's Monday, right? Oh my god, I'm losing track of the days. Today's Monday. It's going to be this week. And 2 key and 30% attack and defense to those who belong to the siblings bond, plus additional 3 key and 20% attack and defense to allies when performing the first super attack in a turn. And he gets 90% chance to dodge, and he lowers his dodge by 10%, and he gets 50%. No, he lowers his attack and defense by 50%, up to 30% chance to dodge and 100% attack and defense respectively every time an attack is received. Okay, so he loses dodge chance as well as attack and defense when he takes attacks. So he loses 100% attack and defense as well as a 30% chance to dodge. If he takes 3 attacks, that's 30% dodge just gone. And he takes 2 attacks, he loses 100% attack and defense. Okay, so he does have a hindrance on him. All right, interesting. And he also survives KO hits once within the turn, and becomes unable to attack after surviving a KO attack. Okay, makes sense. Unique design. I gotta say, is it something that is hindering the card? Yes, but at the same time, it has to probably have to do with something that references the anime. Now, like I said at the beginning of the video, I have a very, very small sample size or sample serving of me watching the anime. I've seen a tiny bit of whatever Demon Slayer movie was out. I'm pretty sure there's multiple ones. I may be incorrect, but I've seen some of a Demon Slayer movie. And I also saw a very small portion of the first episode. Very, very small portion of the first episode. I think I just wasn't interested. That probably was what it was. So yeah. So, interesting design. Up to 70% damage reduction before he attacks, and then after he attacks, 30% damage reduction. Can do 2+ guarantee supers built in, granted he dodges. What does he get? Attack and defensive buff from his faster super attack decks? He absolutely does. He does, yeah, which is obviously quite good. And him having this attack redirection, of course, just the attack aggro, which is what I call it, is strong. This is probably the strongest thing about this kit, because he redirects all the attacks to himself, thus saving the rotation. He could do this just continuously. This is not just, this isn't once in battle. This is for the entire fight. This is very strong. So, let's see. Starts out with a good amount of attack and defense, can get up to high damage reduction before he attacks, and okay-ish damage reduction after he attacks. 2+ supers, attack and defensive buff from his passive to his super attack effect. He also gets redirection of attacks onto himself when in third slot, and that is just unlimited, which is obviously very powerful. He does become a counter unit that does get attack, and granted, of course, you have a Nezuko attack in the same turn, he gets more attack before countering, which is obviously nice for him to have. Now, granted, what I like for this card to have crit chance with his counter so he can do extra damage. Yes, that's probably the only thing that I nitpick. I feel like this is alright because it's probably something referencing the anime as well as this, where he's unable to attack after he survives a KO attack. Probably referencing the anime. I do not know, so I give this a pass. I give this a pass, for sure. But I will say, let him have crit chance for his counters, and he's looking good. Looking very good. So let's see what he's doing. He's also support type unit too on top of that with 90% chance to dodge. And of course, if he takes those 3 attacks / 2 attacks, he's going to have a 60% chance to dodge. So, I mean, that's still something to fall back on. He's very interesting. And I like the design. I wish I watched the anime so I understand the reference that he's trying to make. Either he's trying to make a reference to like Tanjiro, like just being one of these characters that, does he lose fights? I don't know. Okay, I don't know. Super attack first 12 key, that being first form. Water surface slash. He greatly stacks attack. Okay. And gets 30% defense for 1 turn. And his 18 key, that being 10th form constant flux. 50% attack and defense for 1 turn. And he gives super class allies 50% attack and defense for 1 turn. I like to assume. It doesn't say 1 turn, but I'm going to assume that it means for 1 turn. So, good super attack effects. He's looking good. He's also a support type unit from his 18 key super attack effect to his passive. Yeah. And I'm pretty certain that Nezuko is probably going to be a support type unit that dodges. Just, would that make sense? I don't know. Because I didn't see the show. So, stands by for 3 turns. Of course, charge count, blah, blah, blah. Every time attack is dodged or performed, by 2 keeper keys are obtained. Let's see what the standby is looking like. Okay. So conditions can be activated after receiving 5 attacks in battle, or from the next appearance after an ally named Nezuko has received a super attack. Guess Nezuko don't got no dodge. Okay. So he has to take hits. Is it gonna be hard for him to take hits considering the fact that he has a 90% chance to dodge? I think it's gonna be tough for him to take hits. Because this is very strong. So Nezuko, you're gonna have to get blasted by a super. All right. So, let's see. Tanjiro, of course, we have the standby fighting us. Oh, it's the same name. Passive, giving his all against a terrifying foe. 8 key, 300% attack and defense at the start of turn. And he changes all int key spheres. He changes all key spheres to int upon character's first appearance, as well as upon character's next appearance after the end of own standby. Okay, so after the standby is done, he creates a whole field of orbs. And then at the start of his standby, he creates a whole field of orbs. Wow, that's very good. Very, very good. And he gets 50% damage reduction, as well as an additional 20%. That's not 20%. Oh my god, my reading is terrible. He gets an additional 10% damage reduction per attack performed in the same turn, up to 20%. So 2 attacks just gets him up to 70% damage reduction. And he performs an additional attack that has a 70% chance to come to a super attack. Per super class ally attack in the same turn, excluding himself. And he also performs a guarantee super every time key would increase by 4 by collecting key, including if key is above 24 and only activates up to 3 times starting from the second appearance. Okay, interesting. And he creates the domain mount. I do not know how to say that. Oh my god, bro, this video is so botched. And he receives 20% of total HP as damage at the end of every turn, reduces the damage taken by 4% per attack dodge, and foresees enemy super attacks for the rest of the turn after receiving an attack, while the domain demon art bleeding threads is active. I don't know why I'm reading words that aren't there. I'm too used to like just freestyling my own words onto you guys' cards for some reason. And recovers 10% HP at the end of every turn per superclass ally attack in the same turn, up to 20% while the domain is active. And 6 key, and doubles the amount of charge counts obtained and all allies perform a guarantee super if the domain is up. Of course, the Mount Knight, the Mount domain, because I cannot say that word, and Blood Demon Art, Bleeding Threads are both active or when HP is 50% or below, and effective against all types for all allies attacking in the same turn when key is 24. Wow, so there's a handful here. Okay, so what do we have here? So first things first, he creates a domain, and within that domain, he gets, what's that? Okay, so he gives 10% damage reduction to all allies. All right. He also, and enemies temporarily when receiving a super attack. Okay, so 10% damage reduction to allies and enemies temporarily when receiving a super attack. Okay. He gives 10% damage reduction support, 30% attack and defense for Battle of Fate and Miraculous Awakening, as well as additional 20% attack and defense, as well as a 20% chance to credit to those who belong to the siblings bond. This card has a lot, bro. Holy hell. And on top of that, let's see what we got here. We have 8 key, 300% attack and defense, orb changing the entire field at the start of his standby appearance and after it, gets up to 70% damage reduction. He can get 2+ supers for having super class allies attack in the same turn. He gets a guarantee super every time he gets 4 key, including if key is above 24, and activates up to 3 times from second appearance. So that's 3+ supers right there. So this card can get up to 5+ supers in total, just right there, because that says up to 3 times from second appearance. So yeah, so 5+ supers just here combined. Of course, still the domain's right there. It gets HP recovery plus damage reduction per attack dodge, and for seeing super attacks, so recovering HP just right here and also right here. So what's that in total? That's up to, what's that? That's like 40%. It's like recovering 40% HP. So he's recovering globs of HP, damage reduction for seeing supers. He gets key for free, doubles his charge counts for, oh my god, sounded like legends, doubling the charge count for the standby. Effective against all types for all allies, so his support is just monstrous. Recovering HP, damage reduction per attack dodge, for seeing super attacks, up to 70% damage reduction, 5+ supers. I've already said the recovering HP. He's also going to be recovering HP from just collecting the entire in key field. When he changes the whole field, bro, this card is picking apart my brain. Anyways, and inside of the standby, I'm gonna just go ahead and highlight this entire thing because this is exactly what it is. Okay, so let's see. It's still the same super attack names. I think it's still the same ones. Yeah, it is. Okay. But it's just different ones. Yeah, we're just gonna go and highlight this entire thing. Okay. So, in the standby 12 key, he massively stacks attack and gets 30% defense for 1 turn, and massively lowers enemy's defense and gives all allies a 50% chance to crit. Okay. And his new 18 key super for a standby, he gets 100% attack defense for 1 turn, and gives super class allies 100% attack when performing their next super attack, self-excluded. Okay, nice. So, granted, you double super in the standby, you're going to be giving super class allies 100% attack, a 50% chance to crit. We're going to go ahead and get back to his support in just a minute. And his finish effect / evolved super attack, that being the Hinokami. Oh my god, I did not know how to say that. He further raises attack by 25% per charge count obtained for 1 turn. Or further massively raises attack and defense for 1 turn if standby is ended, and causes ultimate / mega colossal damage to enemies. So what is that? It's like combined? Wow, okay. And conditions: activates while performing 18 key super when 50 or more charge counts have been obtained, or activates while performing 18 key super if HP is 30% or below after end of standby. And his unit finish effect, the Hinokami, I'm not even gonna jump for that word. I don't know why I tried to jump for it again. So 50% attack. He further raises attack by 50% per charge cal obtained for 1 turn. Causes super ultimate damage to enemy. Attacks of super class allies are guaranteed to hit for the rest of the battle, and disables all super attacks of attack enemy. Holy hell, this is a loaded unit finish effect. Of all super attacks of the attack enemy, and increases damage received by 25% for the enemy for the rest of the turn. Conditions: activates while performing 18 key super attack when 50 or more charge counts have been obtained. So, and then of course you have to have a Nezuko on the team. Okay. Whew, man, what a card. Let me see the explanation, because there is a bunch here. Okay, so explanation. So to explain this, because man, that standby is looking very, very strong, looking just ridiculously strong. So to explain this, the way I worked the Hinokami, I'm just gonna say Hinokami, or Hinokami, into this is that there are 2 variants: the finish effect and evolved super attack, that is specifically for the morale boost / post standby. And he also says lazy design. I know, lol, not really lazy design. I think it's pretty cool. Basically, when the conditions are met, the 18 key super constant flux will end up transitioning into the Hinokami and applying the corresponding effect, basically quote unquote evolving in a sense. You also get something rather awesome if Nezuko is on the team, but only during the standby. This is why I reworked finish effects for this unit only, since he has super attacks. To explain this simply, both the finish effect and evolve super are the same animation wise, but with different effects based on how you activate them, which I did notice that. In addition, the finish effect and the unit finish effect with Nezuko will have voice lines, but the secret super attack will not. The secret super attack is dope. Alright, unit finish effects, they're basically unit super attacks, but for finish effects. Some characters, I've never seen that before, by the way, a unit super attack, like unit finish effect, that's pretty much within the same thing. That's pretty cool. Some characters, starting with this one, may have different effects when performing their finish effects, possibly resulting in a new scene. Also, domains stack now. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this unit. Nezuko is below this, lol. Holy hell. Now, at first, I couldn't really wrap my head around this card. Excuse me, guys. Okay. So, more so of the fact that this card, I'm going to come back to the support of this card in the standby. So after this card supers, let's say this card double supers, because this card gets up to 5+ supers anyways, right? So this card double supers. 100% attack for super class allies. 50% chance to crit for the entire rotation. 10% damage reduction, 30% attack and defense, as well as an additional 20% attack and defense and a 20% chance to crit, as well as what else? That is it. Yeah. So massive amounts of support, giving allies effective against all types. On top of that, also doubling charge counts, recovering lots of HP. I mean, that's up to, what's that? 40% HP recovery. That's still very, that's high. That's still quite good. Damage reduction per attack evaded for seeing supers. 5+ super attacks built into the card's standby, up to 70% damage reduction. Orb changing on first appearance and after standby is done. Great amount of attack and defense at the start of turn. Meanwhile, inside of the pre-standby, you're still stacking up attack in the 12 key. Alright, and then what do we have here? Surviving KO hits, up to a 90% chance to dodge. Great support. The strongest thing about this card's pre-standby is the fact that it can redirect all attacks to this character inside the 3rd slot. So if you want to be really cheeky with this card, you run double Tanjiros, and then you just, I hope I didn't say that, the character's name, weird. You run double Tanjiros, and you just run them in the 3rd slot only. Call it a day. Because, keep in mind, one thing, keep in mind, is that he has 70% damage reduction until he attacks. So if he's sitting inside the 3rd slot, he has 70% damage reduction. Because do keep in mind also on top of that, counters don't attack. Counters don't, they don't count as attacks, right? Right? I don't think they do. I'm pretty certain that counters don't count as attacks, do they? No, they don't. No, they don't. I'm pretty certain they don't. So do keep in mind, sitting in the third slot, redirecting all the attacks to him, with 70% damage reduction, a 90% chance to die. And then when he dodges, when he takes an attack, when he redirects the attacks and takes an attack, he gets guaranteed dodge. And this guaranteed dodge isn't once only. This is just like on and on and on and on. This is the strongest thing about this card, far and away. Outside of his support and 5+ supers and 70% damage reduction, every time he dodges, recovering globs of HP. The strongest thing about this card is his pre-standby redirection of attacks, because he gets that guaranteed dodge just every time he comes back and sits in the third slot. Card's very strong. So that's about it. Nezuko, we'll go ahead and read in a live stream in the future. I'm getting a live stream going this week, so look out for it. But yeah, I appreciate you guys watching. You guys are the best. Kyle and Kyle's friend, thank you for this card. Whew, man, this card, like, I think it's just because of today. And like, I think the coolest thing about this card is this little like finish effect slash evolve super attack. This is dope as hell. As well as getting like a little secret thing. That's so fire. This is fire. I am yet to like come back to this and just talk about this, because this is just cool as hell. You further raise your attack while still getting your attack and defensive buff, right? Yeah. Yeah, because it says, well, oh no, it's separate from the unit finish effect. Excuse me. Yeah, because you have the unit finish effect and you have the finish effect slash evolve super attack. That is so fire. That's about it. Kyle, thank you for sending your custom card. And Kyle's friend, I appreciate you guys watching. You guys are the best. Send me custom cards over to vhfcustomcards@gmail.com so I get to your custom card or Easy A concept as soon as possible while I'm getting all these recent custom cards or Easy A concepts out the way. This video was so botched. I am sorry, guys. But I think that's about it. Yeah. Join the 24/7 Discord server. Link is down below in the description if you guys join today. Leave a like, subscribe, and peace.